Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing the Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. When you look at boxers, right, there are a handful who really get pretty decent endorsement deals, but the majority, they don't really have those big endorsement deals out. And it makes you wonder why a lot of these different brands out there, why they're not getting involved so much with more boxers, right? And for me, I pay attention to it, and I even say, damn, Terence Crawford and everything he accomplished here with Earl Spence. How come Terence Crawford isn't on a damn Wheatie box? How come he isn't out here in some damn McDonald's commercial or sponsoring some different product? But when you really take a look at it, it's not just Crawford, man. It's a lot of boxers, and I would just like to understand why everyone's so reluctant to get involved with these guys. Well, the majority of them, okay? Because when you look at boxing, in my opinion, it's the greatest sport, in the world. But it has definitely made its mark when it comes to sports, and it has a pretty good fan following. And as far as the thrills that they provide for fans, especially for years now, but especially look at this past year and everything that's going on in the sport of boxing, man. It just makes you wonder how come, more of these fighters aren't getting the endorsement deals. But one thing that I think people need to understand is the main source of income for boxers are bidding and pay-per-view revenue. That's why when it comes to revenue and pay-per-view, man, it's kind of unfortunate, but I understand people not wanting to pay $29.99, $59.99, $60, $70, $80, $100 for a pay-per-view event. I get it. That when you just look at that, it's like, wow, that's a lot. However, people will go out here on the same day of the damn fight and spend $100 on alcohol, spend $100 on BS. You know what I'm saying? And if you really love the sport, in my opinion, put up the $100. When you look at where you're allocating the $100 to, it just doesn't add up, in my opinion. But with the pay-per-view numbers being cut the way they have been because of people just finding other ways to watch the sport, it's hurting fighters. But I'm going to tell you that these brands out here, they don't make a lot of sponsorship deals when it comes to boxing like they do in a lot of other sports. And understand this. There's some boxers that get, higher payouts through sponsorship deals, but most of the boxers don't get much paid. You look at Canelo Alvarez. A lot of people don't know this, but we all know Canelo. He's always wearing the Dolce and Gabbana, right? But we all know Canelo's out here. He's making decent money off of Hennessy, off of Dolce and Gabbana, and Tecate. So the bottom line is he and then there's boxing clubs that he's being sponsored by, but he makes about $2 to $5 million a year just off of that alone. And if you didn't know, Anthony Joshua, he makes pretty good money, about $11 million a year just from Lucozade, Under Armour, Beats by Dre, and a couple other different brands. But he makes about $11 million a year. And then outside of that, you got Tyson Fury, who's making about $3 million a year, just from the different sponsors that he has, like with Hydrate and Fashion Nova. And then Gennady Golovkin, although he's inactive, Gennady Golovkin, man, he's still making about $2 million a year. Remember all the Hublot, Tecate, and then the whole Jordan brand was behind Golovkin, and they're still behind him. So whether he's fighting or not, because of the way this contract, he still gets paid. And then Manny Pacquiao at a point in time, he was all over boxing with Nike and boxing gloves and other things that were other sponsors that were behind him. And he was making, to this day, he still makes about $1 million a year from that. And Gervonta Davis, if you guys didn't know, he receives about $700,000 a year from his Under Armour sponsorship contracts. And see, a lot of people were unaware of that about Gervonta Davis. But you would think that there would be higher payouts for those guys still, and you would think that guys like Terence Crawford would be getting would would be making some kind of money from endorsements. But I'll tell you what, man, this is something that people need to understand. You know, when it comes to these sponsorship deals, let me tell you that some of these sponsors just don't want to get behind boxing. And I had to develop an understanding because boxing is not an easy task to do, right? And these sponsors know that. These brands know that. And a slight injury or even the fighters being so temperamental, the wrong thing come out their mouth, and that hurts their career, the fighter's career, and that can hurt the brand. The bottom line is these brands want to get behind fighters who have, let's say, like a very clean image and who are winning, okay? Now, you take a look at a fighter. Let's say they have a clean image. Let's say they're winning, but for some reason in the fight that they're winning, now you got the ankle gets damaged or they get a cut above the eye or something like that. And let's say that it doesn't heal properly and the career is over. Well, now they have a short career. But there was this contract signed with this sponsor, this brand, and for like 5 years, and maybe there's a clause in this where if the smartest fighter will say, irregardless of injury. Now this brand has to keep paying this fighter, although the fighter's not out there fighting. And that's something that they're going to want to shy away from. Or even if they don't have that clause, well, the brand gets behind the fighter gets hurt, and now they terminate the contract with him because this, you're talking about a crossover appeal. You know, if you have a fighter who's out there, who's active, and he's wearing a brand on his shorts or he's in commercials or whatever, well, you know, now they attract another audience. Now they are able to help spread that brand and grow that brand. But that's why you see not many fighters getting that if they don't have the right profiles. So as much as I talk about Terence Crawford and Earl Spence and those guys, and I'm like, man, what the hell's the deal? How come nobody's getting behind them? Then I got to understand their profiles. How big are their profiles? I'll tell you what, some of these brands like Nike, Adidas, even like Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin Robbins, Samsung, and all this other, look, they'll get behind Jake Paul before they get behind Terence Crawford. It's quite simple. It's all about views, man. You understand? I mean, that's really, really what it's about. It's just having a connection. And boxing matches run all year. However, there are only a few boxing events in a month that feature really, really big boxers. So there's a little chance that, you know, people are going to know a logo or a brand. So a lot of these brands are reluctant to sponsor boxers than any other sport. Now you look at football, you know, you look at, you know, soccer, you look at baseball, you know, it's like everybody's behind all those sponsors get involved with that. So it is what it is, man. But as far as Terence Crawford, I just had to see, man, you know, we had to see what he's going to do, what his team's going to do. I would like to see more brands getting behind him. I'm not, like I said, I am not aware of Terence Crawford. I'm not aware of him being sponsored by anyone. Now he may be, but I'm just not aware of any brands behind him. But I would think that at least Taco Bell. Somebody come out there and sponsor this, man. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. You know, they could, you figure like a McDonald's, they put all their weight behind an event, right? And this is the other thing I think that concerns these guys who want to endorse fighters or put their brands on the line. This is something that's been hurting boxing too, like this weekend. Canelo and Jermell Charlo. Could you imagine if, let's say Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Taco Bell were endorsing Jermell Charlo? If Jermell Charlo would have won that fight, what do you think that would have done for Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, McDonald's, and Jermell Charlo? Amazing things. But when you have Jermell Charlo getting there in a fight with Canelo, and then all of a sudden you got minimal action, right? And then you have this decision, which a lot of people thought was miserable because it's just the whole fight. For some people, it just stunk because they felt Jermell just existed. Well, you know, if the brands are behind Jamel, well, now consumers will negatively connote that brand with negativity. So they can associate the brand with the loser or a fighter who's going to put forth minimal action, and people aren't going to want to get behind that. I remember as a kid thinking if I ate Wheaties, I'd be faster and stronger. That shit's not true. But it's because of all the athletes on the box. You understand? So there's just not an abundance of opportunities for companies to comfortably promote fighters, man. And then when you start thinking about these brands and these companies and wanting to get behind fighters, and they want to make sure that they have fighters who win, right? But now you start worrying about judging. You're talking about, the interviews. You're talking about different circumstances that could, result in poor exposure of their brands. They're just not going to do it. They're just not going to do it, man. Right? And, to be honest with you, I don't know if I really blame them now that I have a better understanding of this whole debacle. But boxing does have an endorsement problem, man. They really do. But I tell you what, the most popular, the most active fighter, right? Not even sometimes they can get sponsorships, at least decent ones. You know what I'm saying? So when the cream of the crop can't get it, what do you think happens to everyone else? Right? Because Terence Crawford, him, Earl Spence, Deontay Wilder, we know them. They're popular to us. But are they the most popular fighters? Let's be real. Let's be real. Are they more popular than Jake Paul? Are they more popular than Ryan Garcia? See, that's the thing that we gotta understand. I think Ryan Garcia has some stuff out there, some sponsorship deals and stuff like that. But again, look at his platform and profile. But Ryan Garcia can't touch no damn Deontay Wilder and no Earl Spence and no damn Terence Crawford. I'm talking about skill set. You know what I'm saying? He can't touch them. But at the end of the day, it goes back to what I was saying. Who is the more popular and a fighter, and who's active, and who has the larger platform? Because those are the guys that are going to garner decent sponsorship, and it is what it is. So I don't know, man. I just think endorsements offer visibility to sports, and I think they legitimize the segments of culture they support out of a sea of endless choices for entertainment. And it's like I was reading an article, and they were talking about, let's just say if someone loves Coca-Cola and they had never observed sports in their life, then suddenly, the person who loves Coca-Cola turns on like a football game and they see a Coca-Cola promotion play in the middle of the telecast. They're saying that, he or she might give that sport a chance because he or she can draw ties between an interest of theirs and this game, this sport. And they're trying to say that could be the same thing for boxing. But the problem is boxing seems to be more of a risk than other sports. Because I'll tell you what, if they were, during these big events, if done right, and all of a sudden during commercials, you're seeing the fighters who are in the ring doing commercials about different brands and stuff like that, that would get people's attention because, hey, that's our favorite fighter. What is this they're talking about? Or what is it they're eating? And that would make people, develop an interest in it. Look at how this damn thing with Prime took off. Logan Paul and KSI. Prime took off. I think it's like the fastest growing like sports drink something out in the history. $1 billion company already. But we could say, well, damn, guys like Spence and Crawford and those guys, they deserve to have a Prime drink. But you think it's going to take off like that? Look at the platform of KSI. Look at the platform of Logan Paul. Look at the type of fans they have. They're going to go out there and they're going to buy that. They're going to support it. They have a bunch of young kids that follow them and fanatics about them. Crawford and Spence and those guys don't have that. I'm not saying that people won't develop an interest in it, but it's not going to, I don't think it will perform the way the products for guys with the larger platforms perform. And that's just my opinion, man. But that being said, I just think Crawford, Spence, and everyone else in boxing, right? They just got to find a way to just, keep being themselves and be true to themselves is the one thing. But for me, I would like to see them get a $20, $30, $40 million deal from sponsorships. You look at Steph Curry just signed I think it's some deal he signed, like $1 billion deal or something, man, something crazy. I mean, with Under Armour, $1 billion deal. Man, give Crawford that. Give Spence that. You know what I mean? Give Deontay Wilder that. Give these fighters that. The guys who are actually putting in. Well, I gotta be careful what I say because you gotta be active. And if you're not active, you can't really expect to have these different brands and stuff chasing behind you. But at the end of the day, I would like to see all boxers benefit from sponsorship deals and endorsements, man. But it is what it is. I think boxing I think it kind of we shoot our own self in the foot. You know what I'm saying? And it's a really important point that came out in a couple of articles I read about pay-per-view sales, piracy, and how the type of the decisions that are being made, the secret society, and how some things seem fixed. These brands don't want to get tied up with that. And you look at the history of boxing, and known for it's corruption in every sport, but in boxing, that people still feel there's a lot of corruption there, and that hurts these fighters. So what you're seeing is they have something to do with them not receiving these endorsement deals, but also sometimes it's beyond their control because some of these brands, they don't care how great a fighter is, they're not getting involved with boxing, and it sucks. But that being said, I think boxers and boxing want to be treated like a professional entity. But I just think everybody needs to start acting like one, man, and just establish a set of standards and just adhere to that, and I think things will change. But that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans on 7 continents. In the breeze.